Hello and welcome to the second round of 8 in the 2018 FIM Maxxis Enduro World Championship. For the first time in series history, we're in the northwest of Spain, Santiago de Compostela in the Galicia region to be exact. The town itself a UNESCO World Heritage Site famous for its many monasteries and churches. The contrast between the old town and the 70-kilometre circuit awaiting the riders couldn't be more stark. After the extreme cold, ice and snow that faced the riders in the season's opening round in Finland, this race will return to more familiar terrain for all the teams involved. Smiles already. After Friday's super test, 4 laps of the course awaited on Saturday, with 3 special stages to be negotiated on each circuit. The weather unseasonably chilly. Defending E2 champion Matthew Phillips enduring one of those days on his Sherco in which everything seemed to go wrong despite a bright start to his day in the saddle. The Australian 10th overall and 4th in E2. Being British, Steve Holcomb knows a thing or two about mud, and his expertise was to come in especially handy on his second visit to the cross test. Water managing to get into his air filter, and from there into the engine itself, causing a storm. A quick test, and the diagnosis complete. Holcomb feverishly working to clear his filter and get the bike going again. However, this section of the test far from finished with the championship contenders. That's none other than Eero Remes face planting in the background. Fortunately for the Finn, there was no damage done, except maybe to his ego, but for Holcomb, the battle with his beta continued, with precious World Championship points at stake. Reigning junior World Champion Bradley Freeman, the next man to come flying through this section, somewhat more successfully than Remes, as Holcomb still worked on clearing his filter and avoiding that dreaded DNF. Finally, the filter back in place, the engine spluttering back to life, with 74 seconds lost, Holcomb finishing the day in 6th place.
You know, I was in the lead and yeah, just went through the water pretty, I thought, okay. But yeah, just hit a big hole and got a load of water in the bike. So I lost, over a minute, and it's very hard to come back from that.
Daniel McCanny didn't enjoy the fastest of starts. No time bonus from the super test and sluggish early on Saturday, but the Mags were picking up thereafter, moving from the edge of the top 10 to a superb 5th overall. But it was younger brother Jamie that carried the McCanny colours on Saturday in 4th for Yamaha, the Briton 3rd going into the final stage, but dropping to 4th while protecting his first place in E1. It would be fair to say that Loic Laro did not enjoy his trip to Finland, and the Yamaha rider far from being alone in that. But back on European dirt and mud, the Frenchman given a new lease of life, moving up to 2nd after Holcomb's mechanical issues, but then bumped down to 3rd on the final stage. Fellow E2 rider Eero Remes, the man charging up the leaderboard late in the day. The Flying Finn only 7th after the first 2 circuits, but then really motoring through the afternoon, taking 2nd from Lario right at the death, along with 2nd in E2. Alex Salvini looking very much at home on his Husqvarna, giving as good as he got in his battle with Holcomb until the Britain's mechanical woes, and even having enough in hand to take a first win in 3 years despite a late drama of his own.
It's been a long time, France 2015 is my last victory, so today I come back on the top spot of the podium, and it's an amazing feeling, Such a perfect day. Just the last test I went over the bars, but fortunately I had a good gap. I put a good gap before, so I had 30-second advantage on the second. So it's been a long day, more than 7 hours on the bike, but it's a perfect feeling right now.
Heavy rain overnight and yet more mixed with hail forecast for later on Sunday, the race officials had a decision to make in the morning with parts of the cross test already impassable. The course adjusted to ensure a fair and proper test was to be faced by all. And once the officials were happy that the test was passable, the race was very much on. Daniel McCanny delighted with his form on Saturday, but a polar opposite in the Happiness Stakes 24 hours later. The Britain's day ruined by a problem with the front wheel of his gas to end up 22nd, but 4th in E3. Christophe Charlet determined to make up for the penalty that turned an overall podium into 25th place on Saturday. The Beta rider doing just that, finishing Sunday in 6th. Ero Remesh in the water again on Sunday, obviously looking to improve his stroke, but battled on for precious World Championship points nonetheless in 5th for TM. The Finn leading the way in EnduroGP, but says his battle with Salvini in E2 is even more important. Loic Leriot led the way after the first 2 laps, but found conditions progressively tougher as the rain and eventually hail continued to fall, dropping out of contention, eventually missing out on the podium by just 2 seconds in 4th. Salvini felt on top of the world after ending his 3-year wind drought on Saturday, and despite describing conditions as almost impossible over the last 2 laps on Sunday, still hung on for 3rd overall and a second E2 class victory the weekend, going top of his class. Jamie McCanny very much in the zone, leading the overall classification after 7 tests for Yamaha, only to be overhauled by turbocharged Steve Holcomb down the stretch, finishing 2nd. Holcomb knew that his mechanical disaster on day 1 robbed him of a probable victory, and on Sunday the Beta rider set about putting that right, setting scratch times in 6 of the last 7 tests to romp to a first overall victory of the season by nearly half a minute.
I think the FIM and the organisers made a good decision with taking some of the obstacles out that would have been a nightmare trying to ride over. So ultimately can't complain with my ride. I just pushed really hard from the second lap, and just clawed back the time we lost in the first lap, and won today.
So Holcomb's title charge now up and running, but it's Remesh that leads the overall standings after 2 rounds, 14 points ahead of the defending champion.